Hi, this is Cheryl again, and it is beyond imagination. I am so excited today to talk about what I feel is on God's heart for you. And it's because we are in a 3-day fast. God has me, this is only day 2 of a fast, but God has me really pressing into that more of Him, letting go of everything. And so a lot of you probably are thinking, okay, I didn't want to hear about fasting, but let's talk about feasting on Him. What if He is the bread of life? What if He is living water and you can have a well stream of living water that bubbles up out of you? What if that's what life could look like? So let's talk about feasting on Jesus today. We look back over my life. I laugh about it because I was the anti-faster. I did not want to fast. I did not want to do anything like that. I thought that there's no way that God could be happy because I'm going hungry, right? And my husband would call these fasts for the church, and he would say, once a month, we're going to do a 3-day fast. And really, back in the day, when I look back over our young years, my husband was quite a faster. He would fast, and sometimes he would fast for 40 days. A lot of fasting back in the day. And it's so funny because I remember one time thinking, I'm just going to go visit my parents in Tucson because in Arizona, the rest of the church won't be fasting and I'll eat with my family. It was a 15-hour drive, but it was worth it to get out of fasting for 3 days and see my folks. So I did things like that, took my kids out of town, and really I was not a faster at all. And so the funny thing is, when I heard God say to sell real estate, I was selling real estate. That's another amazing story, but I was selling real estate for 4 years and I did really well. And I had 8 houses in escrow. I love the people. I enjoy the houses. My dad's a builder. So it's easy for me to look at a house and think, oh, we could do this. We could do that. We should do this. So fun. And so I enjoyed all of it. It was just delightful to me. I had 8 houses in escrow, was really one of the top performers is what they call it, top salespeople. And it wasn't because I tried to push houses on people. I actually tried to talk Jess Parker out of buying a house, tried to talk Frank, a couple different people. I'm like, don't do it. It's not good for you. So I really cared about the people, and I would really, with integrity, not try to sell something that I didn't think would be good for them. But it's a gift. So that was easy. And I had 8 houses in escrow, which can make you pretty good money. And I heard God say to me as I was driving down Highway 99 right in front of Sizzler, right there in my car, God said, I need you to stop selling real estate and start fasting and praying. And I was shocked. I thought, okay, I know when I hear God, it's not questionable. It's kind of like Lori is over there in the office. If Lori says something, I'm like, oh, I heard Lori. Lori said this. That's the way it is with God for me. I'm like, nope, God said that. I'm going to do that. And so I called my hubby and I said, honey, God just told me to stop selling real estate and start fasting and praying. And it's so funny because he was like, well, are you going to fast and pray all the time? And I never thought that far down the road. I just heard him and wanted to obey. And didn't matter that I was doing really well. Didn't matter that it was fun for me. It mattered that I did what God wanted. And so he said, are you going to fast and pray all the time? I mean, what are you going to do? And I said, honey, I just need to obey God. God is telling me, stop selling real estate, start fasting and praying. And so I need to do that. And so Becky was my personal assistant, and that's a whole nother story she shared last weekend about how when I went into real estate, God used me and the integrity that I carry and the love that I carry to help change her life because she hadn't seen integrity or love in the ministry at that point. And that's heartbreaking to me. But really, if we aren't going to be the hands and feet of Jesus, we shouldn't call ourselves Christians. We should only call ourselves Christians if we really are going to love people and let our hands bless people and never harm people. But anyway, I called Becky right then and I said, okay, Becky, up till now, you've done all the details and all the hard work. She was my transaction coordinator. She did all the paperwork. She is an amazing administrator and keeps a lot going. And she's good with people too. And it's amazing. She runs the Feather River Men's Center now. And they just have an amazing group over there. I love those guys. But Becky, I told her, I said, I'm going to give you all of my escrows, all 8 escrows. You were there doing all the paperwork all along. So I'm going to call each of them and tell them that I have to make a change and that you're going to be the one finishing up the details. I'll meet you at the title company at the end, but you just walk with them, hold their hands through the deals, and you'll get the money. I need to step out of this. And God just took me by the hand, and it was so amazing. So I started in the next week. He's like, okay, 3-day fast, jump in. And I had never fasted, but God took me one step at a time on such an amazing, amazing journey. And the journey looked like starting with a juice fast of 3 days. And I started in for 3 days, and I'm like, 3 days in, I thought, this is fabulous. I feel wonderful. And so I went on and I did a 40-day juice fast. It was my first real fast that I did. And it was a 40-day juice fast. And I felt fabulous. And I was like, oh my word, this is so fun. Why haven't I tried this before? And that was around November. So I did November and part of December fasting. Then I went on ahead and ate through Christmas and January. It's like, okay, let's do it again. And so I did another 40-day juice fast. And when God told me he wanted me to start fasting and praying, and honestly, I was overtaken with a desire to pray, read the word, pray, seek him. It was such a beautiful season of my life. And I would love to do that season again. So wonderful. But as I was seeking him, as I was reading and praying, I could hear his voice so clearly because I was getting the clutter and the busyness out of my life, and I was just quieting myself early in the mornings with him. It was the same season that God spoke to me, and he said, Cheryl, I need you. Or no, here's how he said it. He said, if the president of the United States wanted to meet with you, would you meet with him tomorrow morning at 4:00 in the morning? And I said, of course I would. Any of us would, right? And I'm not going to turn down the president, whether I think he's a good guy or a bad guy, doesn't really matter. I would want to meet with him and say, what are you doing? Or thank you for what you're doing, one or the other. And so that as soon as I said, of course I would, Jesus said to me, well, I would like to meet you every morning at 4:00. I was so shocked. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not an early morning person. I'm one that stays up late. My hubby stays up very late. And I said, okay, if you want to meet me at 4, then let's do that. So I immediately shifted my schedule and just started getting up at 4 in the morning. And I'm telling you, that took me into the 3 best years of my entire life. I was fasting all the time. I was getting up at 4 in the morning, delighting in him. And God spoke to me about fasting. And we all know there's a verse in the Bible that says, the Pharisees look sad and sackcloth and ashes and all that, so people would feel bad for them as they fasted. And God said, here's the thing. I told them not to share with everyone because they were all bragging about it. I'm telling you, I need you to share with everyone. You're not wanting people to look at you as a hyper spiritual person. And I really didn't. I was like, don't just look at me like the nice person that loves people. I don't want people to think of me as a real hyper spiritual person. Well, God has his ways. He can do whatever he wants. And I look at life like it is spiritual at this point. I'm like, no, it's very spiritual. We live in the dirt world, but we walk in the spirit. And the Bible says if we don't walk in the spirit, it's impossible to please God. And so at this point in my journey, back in the day, I was on my second 40-day fast. And I was telling people, because God told me I need my people to fast. I need them to. And so I'm on my journey in my second 40-day juice fast. It was so wonderful. And I mean, I just was caught up with Jesus, really literally caught up with him. All I wanted to do was read, pray, delight in him. It was just beautiful. And I'm like, God, catch us up like that now. Catch us away. Catch us. Get our hearts on fire for you so that you're the first thing we think of, you're the last thing we think of, and we talk about you and think about you all day long. You are wonderful, God. So that was really where my heart was at the time, and I just pray that that would be us every day, all day. Those of you that are listening, that would be my prayer for you, that you would feel the hunger of God, that it would he would captivate your heart, that fasting would become a part of your lifestyle. And I really believe fasting and denying the flesh was what caused me to catch the fire of the Holy Spirit, because my second 40 day, it was just fun and wonderful. And again, it's easy for me to get excited about things. I know that about me, but it was the best. And I finished that second one. And early in the mornings, every morning, 4:00, just delighting in him, sitting with him, reading the word, poring over the Bible, encouraged and encouraging my husband. I was so just happy about everything. And Dave was thrilled. He's like, what happened to my wife? She's changed drastically, nearly overnight, which was the second time that happened, because the first time that happened, it was back when I went through deliverance and got fear-free, and I had fear of man so bad. I had rejection. I had a lot of stuff that held me back, and God delivered me when I was, I'm guessing I was about 35, maybe 40, maybe I was 40. I think I was. And so that happened 25 years ago. And then the next step was when he took me on this feasting on him journey, fasting, dealing with the cravings of the flesh. We all have different things in the flesh that pull us. And God's like, would you become an overcomer? Would you overcome the world, the flesh, the devil, all the lusts, all of the things that pull you? Food can be a lust. Honestly, when we look back at the mystics and those that walked with God at the deepest levels, anything that takes you out of your union with God is in itself wrong. You have to go, God, what is it that's keeping me from fulfilling my whole destiny? Am I totally caught up in the material world? Am I totally caught up in just what am I going to eat? I mean, the Bible actually says when he returns, people will be still eating, drinking, and being married, right? Making merry. All those things will be happening, but there will be a people that have come out from among the desires of the flesh, the desires of the dirt world, and they will be people that have put their whole confidence, whole trust, all of their excitement and zeal into the union with God, that communion, that communion, that it changes everything. That's all I can say. It changes everything. And for me in that season, that was also the season during those fasts and feasting on him alone, when he was just what I was desiring, nothing else, no food, no nothing else. I didn't even desire it. It wasn't like, honestly, I went on cruises where everybody's feasting on anything on the cruise, and I fasted on the cruise because I didn't care about the food. I was there for quiet time with Jesus, to spend time with my hubby. So I'm kind of a radical, probably, from your opinion, and maybe mine too. But it's exciting. It's an exciting journey. And so I'm done with my second 40-day fast, and that was juice fast. And during that time, God spoke to me about my puppy business. He spoke to me about, he told me one of the times I was getting so much excitement and so happy and so delighted in everything. I couldn't see the negative side of anything. I could only see the beauty of what God was up to, and I could see people who they were supposed to be, not who they were, but what God would do with them before it's over. And it was just exciting and wonderful. And one day my youngest son says to my hubby, he said, Mom is kind of lost her mind. She's crazy. She thinks everything is fabulous and wonderful. And I think we should have a family intervention. I think we should all sit down and talk to her about life is hard. Life is not all happy. Life is not all good. And I heard him over, they were building a fence. We were building a fence for him at his first home. And they were over there talking, and I heard it. So I heard God say to me, you need to test your neurotransmitter levels. And so I took my phone. I didn't know if it was in my car. I didn't know if it was in my computer. Didn't know where it was. And I just heard him say neurotransmitter levels. And so I took my phone. I asked my phone. I said, hey, Siri, where can I test a neurotransmitter level at? And it said a good naturopath could do that for you. And so I look up a naturopath. I call the naturopath. And this is funny. Siri's listening to me because I said, hey, Siri, need to turn her off. But she said, you can actually do that at a naturopath. So I go to the naturopath and they test my neurotransmitter levels, and my dopamine levels were over twice a normal human being. So I was literally high on Jesus. I was literally so caught up with him, so happy. In his presence is fullness of joy. At his right hand are pleasures forevermore. And you may have heard me tell that story before, but the joy and the peace of living caught up with him is beyond what we could imagine. It's amazing. So that is one of my favorite stories. And it was in the middle of feasting on him. He is joy. He is peace. He is resurrection life. And we say we want to walk with him, but we really want to do everything of the dirt world and get the benefit of walking in the spirit. And it doesn't work that way. It's about dying to the flesh and going, where are we going? What are we going to do? I want to be caught up with you. And so I was so excited, so happy, and I'd completed my second 40-day fast. Not that I ever wanted to do a 40-day fast, but it was just the pull of the Spirit. And then one day I heard God say to me, Cheryl, I need you to do a 3-day water fast. Well, that seemed daunting to me at the time. I was like, I don't want to do water for 3 days. I don't like water. Very hard for me, but I'm so in love with Jesus. I will do whatever he wants, right? So I said, honey, to my hubby, I'm going to do a 3-day water fast. And I was headed into this conference, and I thought this is perfect timing. And currently we're also on a 3-day fast at the church. We do it once a month. It's the best thing. I want to encourage anyone listening to start setting those 3 days apart and go, I'm going to fast. Really, I'm going to feast on him. I'm going to read the word. I'm going to delight in him. I'm going to see him fill me up, because that will make you happy in the long run. Very, very happy. So anyway, I'm on my 3-day water fast. And the third day of my water fast, there were amazing things that happened, but there were some signs, wonders, some things that God really deeply did in my heart during that time. But the third day, he said to me, that's 3 of 40. And I was so shocked. I was like, what? But he took me by the hand and led me through that 40-day water fast. And I'm telling you, the joy of union, communion, fellowship with him as I let go of the things of the dirt world. And during that season, God spoke to me at one point and he said, Cheryl, give me your children. Give them all the way to me. Don't worry about them. Don't spend your time or energy concerning yourself of where they're going, what they're doing. Come with me. Come with me. Come with me on this journey. Pour love on them, yes, but not worry at any level. And he says that don't worry about anything. Trust God in everything. And so God is wanting us to get to that place where we are really in union with him, delighted in him, caught up with him, and we yield everything completely to him. So I did that rest of that 40 days, just caught up with him, so excited. And honestly, even as I talk about it, I usually get myself excited about fasting. And I'm only on my second day today because we're doing a 3-day church fast, but it makes me think, why wouldn't I do a 40-day right now, right? That's just the way my mind works. I'm like, this is exciting. That led me into the most fulfilling season of my entire life. And I read a book called Quantum Fasting. It's one of the best books out there on fasting, probably the best book. Talks about what it'll do for your physical body, talks about if you'll do a water fast for 5 days, it starts to literally regenerate and rejuvenate your organs. Everything is restored, refreshed as we wait on him. Just think about it. What does the Bible say? Those that wait on me will restore their youth. Amazing. Our body actually does that if we will push away from the table, push away from all the other stuff. Longevity teachers are starting to push the whole fasting thing. It's like, intermittent fasting. I'm not into all that. What I'm into is going after the King and the kingdom. And whatever will get me there, I'm more than excited about doing. So anyway, Jesus began to just speak to me on my journey. That was the beginning. That was the first about 5 months of my feasting on him journey, or my fasting journey. But realistically, Jesus began to speak to me, and it was so amazing. And he was having me read the book of John, and I was reading chapter 4, 5, and 6, and I read it over and over and over. And as I was reading it, I'm like, oh my goodness, chapter 6 actually says, if you eat my flesh and you drink my blood, you will live and never taste of death. I think it means exactly what it says. If we learn to eat of the Spirit rather than just the stuff of the flesh stuff that we're eating, most of it isn't good for us. Most of us, we need to learn discipline and just push it away and say, I don't need that. Don't want it. Not interested. I want life. He is resurrection life. And as we begin to eat of him, you can't just go out there and starve yourself and be like, okay, I'm fasting. I'm not seeking him. I'm not delighting in him. You don't have to either be away all by yourself to fast for 40 days. You can be in the middle of doing things, but be caught up with him. Be completely connected with heaven. Let him be your source, and it will be very, very exciting. So on my journey, I did the 40-day water fast, and I was so caught up with him, so excited. He spoke to me so deeply, started me in all these different directions, really explained John chapter 4, 5, and 6 to me. Starts with the woman at the well, and he looks at her and he says, hey, if you let me give you living water, you let me give myself to you, you'll never need to draw water again. You'll never thirst again. Well, we don't believe that, but it is what the Bible actually says. It says, I'm everything you need. I'm living water. I'm bread of life. How exciting is that? And just think about our governmental structures. They cannot control a person that doesn't need the substance of the dirt world. Not controllable. What we've got to do is get where Jesus is our full substance, where we're delighting in him, where we're taking in of him daily, constantly, caught up with him, yielding to him. And it's pretty exciting. So John chapter 4, he's talking about the woman at the well. By the way, I think her name was Fotina, and she actually ended up going out and bringing that gospel to all kinds of people. That whole region got saved. And when you look back through history, they say she made an impact on many, many, many cultures, many places, because Jesus came out of his norm, reached across the gender barrier, and he reached across the nationality barriers. God doesn't see color. He's not like that. He's like, no, we're one family. And in the Spirit, there is neither male nor female. We walk in the Spirit. If we please him, we walk in the Spirit. If we're walking in the flesh and we're criticizing the male or the female race, that's wrong. God's saying, would you be you? I have to be the best feminine woman that I can be. My husband is very, very much a male. And here we come together, and I cheer him on for being like he is. He cheers me on for being like I am, and we have the best possible unit. So anyway, as God was teaching me, talking to me about all this stuff, I was so just caught up with him, overwhelmed with excitement and delight as I learned his heart for his people, for resurrection life, really. He's saying, you can walk like Enoch walked. You can. People say, what is beyond your imagination? Well, mine is, I've got a good one, because God sees the future, and he's like, oh, here, we're going to go way deeper into that. We're going to go way beyond what people yet see. So we as Christians tend to look in the rearview mirror and we think, okay, what was the best thing going out there? Well, okay, I see somebody's thinking R.W. Shambach, Benny Hinn, my grandpa, A.A. Allen, right? My grandpa was A.A. Allen. The man was wonderful. If I'm looking in my rearview mirror, I can see grandpa back there, and I'm like, oh my goodness. There was amazing miracles, amazing things that happened in those days. However, God's perspective is the best is yet to come. And so if we're caught looking back here, what has happened, then we will be slowed down to what God is wanting us to do. He's wanting us to look out the sunroof and go, okay, here we go. Where are we going? What are we going to do? And he's catching people up with him every day. He catches people into the visions and the signs and the wonders. My grandpa used to have trances. He would go into a trance and all of a sudden he would see things that had already happened. And he would see the little boy that getting born that had the 26 diseases, and every single one of those diseases was healed in one meeting, back to back, eyes completely, they were no color in his eyes, and the color came back and his tongue was hanging out. His tongue snaps back into place. His legs had no bones. He had no genitals. On and on and on it goes. And yet in a moment by moment by moment, those things all were healed. And we actually have Joseph Sturgeon coming to the church. He's amazing. And he's going to be here at the end of February. I think it's the 28th, 9th, and the 30th maybe. But he's going to be here. He has seen miracles like that too. He's seen people's lives completely healed when they were crushed in automobile accidents. And he actually saw not just the person healed, but he saw the car healed. The car went back to the original condition as if it had never crashed. So it's going back in time. It's like God heals. God can pull us up and go, no, I'm going to take you here and take you back to before there was damage. And God wants to do that even in our hearts, even in our souls. He doesn't want his kids living damaged. He's like, no, I am resurrection life. I live in you. So how exciting is that for us to actually believe what the Bible teaches and walk out resurrection life, walk out the fullness that he intended. So when we talk about beyond imagination, people's imaginations, they might think, oh, it's wonderful if God heals somebody. Cancer got healed. We're just like, yes, but God is going, I have so much more for you. Yes, the healings. Yes, we walk through all kinds of things, and sometimes people don't get healed. That's okay. God sees all. We don't know everything. What I know beyond a shadow of a doubt is that he's good. He created us in his image. His image means we have creative abilities. We have the ability to walk in fellowship with him, hear his voice, and do what he wants us to do. So we look over the Bible, over the past, or even just back at my grandpa, and say, that was amazing. Or the things in the Bible were amazing. Enoch, Elijah, Noah, all these people did amazing things. But God is saying, look forward, look forward. Don't get stuck looking back. Read the stories, yes, but understand that you were created for such a time as this. You were created to bring real life from heaven to earth. Jesus said it. He said, it's my will that you would pray this way. Pray that it would be on earth just like it is in heaven. And that's his will for you. His will for you is that you would be filled to overflowing with the beauty of what's going on in heaven, that you would see people through his eyes and see who they really are called to be, that you would help them along the journey. Every little act of kindness is like lending to God. He says, when you lend to the poor, you lend to me. Well, what a great idea, since he's the king and he owns everything. We should be blessing each other. My heart and my goal is to have all of us, anyone involved in the Embassy of Heaven, anyone involved in the Church of Glad Tidings, which is the church name, and the embassy is our campus. The whole campus is a safe place from the enemy. But all of us, my heart is that we would learn to lay down our lives for our neighbor. And I think we have to start by dying daily to the little cravings and wantings, just maybe the food. It's like, okay, I'm going to discipline myself now to only have 3 or 4 things for the next month, and rein in the lust of the eyes, the flesh, wanting everything in the dirt world. Just try it as a discipline. And it really, really, really will be a friend to you. The more disciplined we become, the more perseverant we become, the happier we become. So it's quite exciting. I want to pray for you that God will give you grace to feast on him, grace to hear from him, and grace to be all that you're called to be. So God, thank you, thank you, thank you for these precious friends. Some of them that I've not even met yet, but I'll meet one day. God, I thank you for what you're doing in each life. I thank you for what you have done in my life and what you're about to do. I thank you that you're not finished, that you're at work, and you're going to do great things in and through each of them and through my life. God, as I lay it down before you daily, I give you the sacrifice of my life. And God, I thank you for taking people by the hand and leading them into feasting on you and helping them to understand that true joy only comes from the spirit realm. It only comes from your kingdom. And God, I just bless my new friends. I bless all the people that are watching this. And I ask you to give them grace to learn to die to self and to let you live and rule and reign in them completely, God. A complete union where we really know that sin has in itself the seeds of death, that we want nothing to do with it, that we only ever want what you want for us, and that we only ever bless with our mind, our mouth, and our heart, and nothing comes through us that would be damaging to anyone. God, let your kingdom be established and let your will be done. Let it be on earth as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name, amen.